Hey everybody! So today we're going to be looking at another one of Shakespeare's comedies, The Merchant of Venice. As always, the monologue's in the description below. Pause me, read it, come on back. Now, like I said yesterday, comedy we put into a loose terminology because, again, the play may not necessarily be funny, it just ends happily. And in this case, that's where I would place The Merchant of Venice, is it's one of those plays that ends on a happy note. There are some people who get punished for what they've done throughout the show, but for most of the characters, we end up in this kind of, we got what we wanted, so yay moment. That being said, most of the characters in this play are also jerks, so yeah. You don't necessarily want to root for them during the course of the play anyway. Another thing to mention about this monologue is actually from the character Portia, who is a woman. And fun thing about Shakespeare's time is that women during Shakespeare's life were not allowed to be actors. So the female parts were all played by young boys whose voices had not deepened yet. And so it's very interesting because when you look at Shakespeare's plays, you can tell that this was the case because a vast majority of his parts are written for men. Especially if you look at the tragedies, there's maybe one or two women in most, if not all, of the tragedies. So we're looking today at a woman's speech. I'm not going to attempt to play it as if I were a woman. I'm just going to play it as I would play it if I was playing this part. Interesting thing about this, so let's take a look at where it is in the script. So first of all, this is in Act 4, Scene 2. So we are very, very close to the end. There are only 2, maybe 3 scenes left after this. And this takes place in a courtroom. And what happens is Portia has arrived in Venice to help out the friend of her fiancé. And what she has done is she has disguised herself as a man, which, as you may remember from Twelfth Night, is kind of a recurring theme in Shakespeare's comedies, is girls pretending to be guys. And so what's happening is she's there, and she's acting as this person who is very knowledgeable in the law and is helping the Duke of Venice to rule on this case, where a moneylender has basically told a merchant, hey, if you don't pay me back, I can take 1 pound of your flesh from wherever I want off your body. Yeah, it's kind of weird. And the merchant actually agreed to that, so yeah, draw your own conclusions about the merchant's state of mental being. But at this point, the merchant has been unable to pay him back, and suddenly we're here, and it's just like, okay, how does this happen? What's going to go on? And what Portia does is both A, why we can consider her kind of a jerk, because she first argues on behalf of the moneylender. She's like, yeah, no, totally, you are in the right. You signed this contract, the merchant agreed to this, and while mercy is a good thing, yeah, you're in the right, you're legally in the right. But then she turns it right around and says, oh, by the way, your thing was 1 pound of flesh, but no blood. So make sure you get the flesh, but not any blood. And that ends up saving the day because the merchant you can't do that. It's not physically possible. So what Portia's doing in this monologue, and this is a thing that kind of drives that what I was just talking about home, is she is going through and talking about mercy and how great mercy is, and trying for a bit to convince Shylock, the moneylender, to give mercy to Antonio the merchant, and maybe hoping she doesn't have to go into stage 2 of the plan. But we do find out eventually that she does have to go into it, and it spirals from there. So from a character perspective, this is a couple of things. One, it shows how incredibly intelligent Portia is, because she has this whole thing figured out. She's like, okay, first things first, we're going to try and appeal to Shylock's senses, maybe get him to drop the thing out of a sense of mercy. If that doesn't happen, I'm going to wreck his day. The second thing, it also shows that she knows what she's talking about. She goes through and everything she does, like every person in the room, nobody understands who she is. Nobody gets it. Nobody guesses and says, hey, that voice sounds familiar. No. Portia is able to fool the entire courtroom, both through her speech and what she actually says, because it is legally all correct for Shakespeare's time, and also for the fact that she does a really good job performing it. It also shows that she is willing to work with people. Clearly, this merchant is the best friend of the guy she's going to marry. And clearly, at the end of the day, she would want to get the merchant off. She wants to get the merchant back to where he needs to be and not, dead. But at the same time, she's willing to give the person who is giving the merchant a hard time mercy, a chance, an out, basically, before she destroys him. So let's take a look at the quality of mercy. The quality of mercy is not strained. It droppeth as the gentle rain from heaven upon the place beneath. It is twice blessed. It blesseth him that gives and him that takes. The mightiest in the mightiest. It becomes the throned monarch better than his crown. His sceptre shows the force of temporal power, the attribute to awe and majesty, wherein doth sit the dread and fear of kings. But mercy is above this sceptred sway. It is enthroned in the hearts of kings. It is an attribute to God himself. An earthly power doth then show likest gods when mercy seasons justice. Therefore, Shylock, though justice be thy plea, consider this, that in the course of justice none of us should see salvation. We do pray for mercy, and that same prayer doth teach us all to render the deeds of mercy. I have spoke thus much to mitigate the justice of thy plea, which, if thou follow, this strict court of Venice must needs give sentence against the merchant there. And that is the quality of mercy. Real quick thing, I'm going to put a link below to something I just found online. Shakespeare Dallas, which is a Shakespearean festival and a group of people that does Shakespeare in the Park every summer in Dallas, Texas, is doing an online course every Monday for about the next 6 weeks looking at several plays. So I will post the link to their website below, and if you are interested in that, you can explore that on your own. Anyway, we'll be back again tomorrow. Have a great day. Bye!